we're here at Media Days, and I say this, man, college football season, I think, unofficially kicks when we get to this part of the year. Not just the SEC, but like whenever you have Media Days happening and talking season, it's like, oh, this is the first tangible thing we're doing when it comes to what next season is going to be. And so here at Media Days, I started to think about, like, hey, what are a couple big games we have ahead of us when it comes to the SEC season? And Georgia's here today, and their opener is against Tennessee. And you have two new quarterbacks for both sides, both Gunnar Stockton and Joey Aguilar. And I want to ask the question, in that SEC opener, when Georgia rolls into Neyland Stadium, who has more pressure on them, Stockton or Aguilar? We'll unpack it right now. If you're a Georgia fan or you're a Tennessee fan, make sure you're subscribed. When this game rolls around, I promise you, we will have a prediction for you. It'll be a blast to talk about this game when it's here. But make sure you're locked in. Don't want to miss it, so make sure you're subscribed. I want to start with this, though. Outside of the quarterback discussion, from a team perspective, I think a win would mean more to Tennessee when it comes to the pressure. If Tennessee wins this football game, first it gives you the mulligan between, you got to go 10-2, right, to make the playoff. It gives you the mulligan if you could have a stretch where you go 1-2 between the game at Bama, Oklahoma, at Florida. That's a good way to live your life heading into the next stretch of your college football schedule, right? But maybe as importantly as that, remember just the overall change in the vibe there was for Tennessee that year they beat Alabama in 2022. It kind of legitimized everything they had done to that point, and I think it gave them a little extra confidence, too, going forward. You saw that team view themselves differently. And forget how they were viewed from the outside looking in. They viewed themselves differently and played better, I think, because they beat Alabama and had that win over Nick Saban under their belt. Same deal in this game. You beat Kirby Smart, a team that, you went to their place a year ago and got dragged. You do it with a different quarterback after all the guys you lost from. If you can beat Georgia for your first game in the SEC of 2025, tell me it doesn't get you feeling a little bit different about yourself. I think it would. I think that would pay massive dividends. For Georgia, I'm not telling you this is somehow a small deal if you lose this game. Make no mistake about it. This is massive for Georgia as well. But I do think we'd be a little bit foolish to not look at what history has said about Kirby Smart. He hasn't lost 2 regular season games since 2020. So if they lose this game, it's not ideal, and you obviously have less margin for error. But if it's about going 10-2 and making the playoff as the bare minimum, they expect more than that, but if that's the bare minimum, I think it could be kind of the wake-up call for that team, kind of like the Ole Miss game was a year ago. Lose the game to Ole Miss. Is Georgia falling off the face of the earth? What's up with Georgia on the outside looking in? And then Georgia bosses up and they go on a run and win the SEC, make the college football playoff. But again, I think the pressure for the game itself is more on Tennessee. Now, with that being said, I think the pressure from a quarterback perspective, for Joey Aguilar, I want to be careful how I say this, but he transfers in post-spring practice in the wake of the Nico Iamaleava fiasco. And he was kind of like the knight in shining armor, right? It's all sort of house money for Joey Aguilar right now. The win for Tennessee was saying, no, we're not going to bend the knee to your demands when it comes to the Nico Iamaleava camp. The win was drawing a line in the sand and saying nobody's bigger than the Power T. Now, it's easy to say that in the month of, July, and it's different if you miss the college football playoff and don't have the year you want to have. But I think there's a little more of a house money vibe to where Joey Aguilar is right now. Not to say it's not with pressure, but I just think it's more house money. For Gunnar Stockton, I just think the conversation around him in this game gives me the feeling there's more pressure on him in this SEC opener. Because think about this. If he doesn't play well, what's the narrative going to be? Is he good enough to get Georgia to a national championship? Is he good? Is he really the guy? And I'm not telling you that conversation is based in any merit. I'm just saying that's the extra noise you're going to have around your football team if you don't play well and you're Gunnar Stockton in this spot, right? Because you're going against one of the top secondaries in college football based on who they brought back. You went out and consciously, if you're Georgia, retooled your entire receiver room to go be able to throw the ball downfield. And if he's not successful in this spot and you don't see national title chops, just the evaluation of him, I think nationally, is going to kind of start to spiral a little bit. And then also, if we're going to be more level about this, if you're Georgia, in the biggest spot of your season to this point, if you don't feel great about Gunnar Stockton, when it comes to his performance in this game, you're betting on upward trajectory and upward trend, which I think everyone should bet on when it comes to early parts of the season and not overreact. But I do just think there's more massive pressure on Gunnar Stockton to perform because of the lens you're viewing it through. Not saying that Tennessee has low expectations, but for Gunnar Stockton and Georgia, it's like, okay, last year wasn't it. This is a year we got to go circle the wagons, in a year with a lot of uncertainty across college football, which we've said already on this show. Texas, new quarterback. Ohio State, new quarterback. We're going down the line here. Ole Miss, new quarterback, the team you lost to last year. There's a lot of newness. And so if your guy is the best new guy, which I think you're hoping it is if you're Georgia, think about how that positions you with the rest of your roster. So physically speaking, you're probably asking more of a Joey Aguilar with how much you anticipate them throwing the football. But I do think just pressure and conversation and just the way we're assessing this game for Gunnar Stockton, I put more pressure on him in the SEC opener for them when they roll into Neyland. But regardless, pressure on both. We all win watching college football and watching that game. But I think there is more pressure on Gunnar Stockton to perform and how he's assessed